Hello, my squishies! I'm here. I will apologise immediately because apparently it's bonfires night tonight and there's fireworks going off outside, so I am so sorry for all of the fireworks that may or may not occasionally pop up during this. It's very exciting. So while we're waiting for people to pop on, I'm going to start by giving you a quick introduction into what's in your kit and how to felt, and then we'll get doing the pictures. And when somebody is on, can they say hello so that I know I think you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Yes, I have hello. I have people. Excellent. Oh, and there's the first firework. Okay, so before I get too distracted by fireworks today, let's do this. So in your kit, you will have a couple of really important things. So there'll be a big foam block that you're going to felt onto. Always felt onto the foam block. Mine's a little bit felted just now. That protects your surfaces and makes felting easier. You will also have your felting needles. So these are super sharp needles. Please do not stab yourself or anybody else for that matter. And if they may break, if they do break, please dispose of them carefully. I tend to sort of sellotape them together and figure out a way. So I always also count my needles in and out at the beginning of each session to check I've not lost any anywhere. Now you can hold your needles just like this, but a lot of people find it a lot easier to hold them in a needle holder like these, and these should be in your kit, and I'll show you how to use one of these just now. So there's a little plug in one end, so you grab that plug out. It's got a fatter side and a thinner side. You want to pop your needle in the groove that's along the top of the plug with the hook on the thinner end, and then all you need to do is pop that back into the needle holder, and then you can stab away. I'll do that one more time, nice and slow. So you've got your needle holder like this. You grab the wee plug out, pop the needle with the needle hook going over the thinner end, and it's the thinner end that you pop back in, and that just holds it in nicely, and because you're stabbing down it shouldn't really fall out. And when you're stabbing, I also don't tend to use it because I like to mix up between 1, 2 and 3 needles as I'm working. You can buy holders with 3 or 6 needles in them, so they're really good as well. But when you're stabbing, you always want to stab straight. You never want to be bending the needle as you're going in, because that's how needles break. So straight up and down. You can even do a straight to the side, as long as you're not wiggling it and bending it. So what else is in your kit? We've got your needles. So what we're going to felt onto. So to make the picture, we're going to use this bit of pre-felt. So this is Shetland or Cheviot pre-felt that I've drawn on an outline just to give you a rough guide, but I'll walk you through it entirely in the next, hopefully, hour. So this is what we're going to felt onto, and we are also going to use this to make the picture. So this is tops or roving. So it's the fleece come off the sheep, it's been washed, it's been dyed, and it's been brushed, and then it's been sort of brushed into a long top essentially. And to work with this, what you're going to do is you're going to grab one end and just pull out tiny amounts at a time. You'll be amazed tonight how many times I say just the tiniest amount. But there is a couple of tricks to this. So when you're pulling it, if you have your hands too close together, it's not going to come apart, because that's the length of the hairs that makes this up. So if you have your hands too close together, no use. And if there's any twist in it, it's also not going to pull apart, even if you have your hands far apart, because twist is what holds it together and makes yarn. So you want to have your hands nice and far apart, and then you're just gently pulling, and it comes apart like that. So that's tops. And the other thing that's in your kit is, oh, mine is all over the place just now because I was playing with it earlier, is the frame that we're going to frame this in. But we'll deal with that later. But for just now, think I've covered everything. Should we get felting? Shall we do Glencoe? And oh my god, it looks so beautiful just now down there. The hills have just turned orange. It is absolutely amazing. So we're going to try and recreate that today. So, as usual, we start, or as usual, for those of you who have not done this before with me, I like to start at the back and work my way forward. So putting anything that's sort of far away in first, so it's kind of building up, not a 3D, but you're layering stuff in the way that we want it to be seen. So I'm going to grab some of this sky blue and fill in the sky section. So up here, so you've got your river running down there. You can see in the right hand corner, hopefully what it's going to turn out like. You've got your river running down there, sky, hills, house and wee forest. So we've grabbed a little bit of the blue, and for this section you don't need to be too worried about pulling a tiny amount. We're going to layer up the blue so it's nice and covering that space. And don't worry if you're overstepping the lines, because we'll just go over it afterwards. The lines are just a guide to kind of vaguely get you going, but this is also your artistic expression, so you can move stuff about. Do not feel you have to do exactly what I'm doing. If you want to put in, first thing that popped into my head when I said if you want to put in was a pink unicorn. If you want to put in a pink unicorn, go ahead. I haven't seen them in Glencoe recently, but I think this is what the season's done to my brain. So I'm very loosely putting in the sky. Yeah, very loosely sort of blocking in the sky. And this stage just now, I'm going to move relatively fast because I'm not going to be fixing it in too well in case we want to swap around and move stuff later. Because one of the joys of needle felting is that you can take back your mistakes. So at this stage just now, because it's only really lightly felted in, you can easily pull it away and move it to a different place. So all mistakes are fixable. And even after you've felted it in for a while, if you want to, you can grab a pair of scissors and pull it and snip it off. I was doing that today when I was redesigning this. I cut the house out a couple of times and shifted it because I didn't like where it was. So just now we're just blocking in colours. I'm also going to pre-warn you, those of you who have not done this before. So I see the people that have, and hello. I'm so glad you could join me. It's going to look interesting for a while. It's going to look like a mess. And then suddenly something will happen. You'll put something in, you'll felt it a bit more, and it will all just amazingly come together. So if for the next half hour you think this is a mess, this is horrendous, it's never going to look like it, don't worry. It will. I believe in you. Let's stop putting this off and get on with it. So I'm going to start with the top of the hills now that I've very quickly felted in that sky. I'm going to build up layers of colour to give it depth. So you might not necessarily see these in the final thing, but they will be there. So I'm going to start taking this. So this is Jacob's Slivers. Ooh, there's some fireworks. I'm taking them. Probably shouldn't have arranged this for fireworks night at 6 o'clock, should I? And I'm just going to layer these. This is where we do start getting quite thin. Pop these up the top there. Taking the top half of the hill, I would say. So this is going to give it some hidden depths, because even though we'll put different colours on top, you'd notice it if it wasn't there, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Again, the shape of the top of your hill can be any shape you like. I like to have, for this one specifically, I'm trying to go down to sort of a point where the river is going to run down. I might even go a little bit further with the brown and put a line of brown on this tree line, and you can see I've already covered up where the house is going to be, but that's okay. So I'm going to pop that in just now. This is adding sort of, if you were a painter, this is where you'd be blocking in sort of lights and darks and things. And I'm going to put, let's see if I can, a little line. No, I don't want to do that. I was going to put it behind the water, but it's lies. Okay, so now we're going to start bringing the colours on top. So you've, like, this is super lightly felted in. Basically just a few stabs in each one just to hold it in place, because we'll be doing a lot more felting. Felting on top. Yes, the slivers do have an interesting texture, so these are brushed slightly less, slightly more natural, and I really like it for effects like this. I think it gives it so much for like the water. We're using the slivers for the water as well. It just gives it some liveliness. Oh, for those of you who can't see the comments, I'm responding to the live comments just now. So you can only see half of my conversation sometimes. We're going to grab the, I call this chocolate brown, and we're going to start laying that over the top of the hill down to about where we're going to start the forests. So again, this is where I'm going to start saying this is thin amounts just laid out, and we're going to build up layers and layers. So don't worry if it's perfect just now. Right now nothing's going to be perfect. It's going to look like an interesting mess. And then going a little bit further down as well. There we go. So we've got a base of the dark brown going to a light brown. I'm going to start popping in. Is it too early to? Yeah, no, it's never too early to start popping in some greens. So we've got two greens here. They are quite similar. I'm going for the lighter of the two. Oh, there's lots of fireworks. Can you guys hear the fireworks? I don't know how good my mic is. I'm going to just pop in little bits of green. We may cover these over, but this might sound weird. The point is that they're there. And that is, you'll see when it's felted quite well, you'll see tiny spots of it popping up and popping through. So now we're going to put a little bit more. So this is now, you can hear the fireworks. That's okay. Imagine it looking beautiful. I didn't do a fireworks one, but I was thinking about it. They're not too loud, are they? So I've grabbed the lighter brown, just again, tiny amounts. I'm laying that on top. I'm not going to go too high, just doing a thin middle section. And I probably should have mentioned this before, it's really a good idea to keep your left hand away from the area that you're felting, so that you don't. It was the lighter of the two greens. We're going to reserve this darker green only really for the forest area, because we want the forest to really stand out and look like a dark coniferous coniferous? Is it coniferous? That one that's still got its leaves just now. Not deciduous, because the deciduous ones are all spectacular colours just now. So now I'm going to take that dark green, and I know so this area just now, I'm moving quite fast, it's not well felted in. As long as there's a few colours there, we're just going to kind of build it up and then work back into it. So I'm going to lay the green across now. Now with the green, we're going to take some of the slivers, the black slivers, Jacob's slivers, just a tiny amount. And what I'm going to get you to do is hold them together and then pull them apart and lay them on top of each other a couple of times. what this will do is it'll sort of vaguely blend it, and then I'm going to get you to smoosh it. So far we've been sort of laying stuff horizontally, but now I'm going to get you to smoosh it with that black, just popping in little sections, and scrumple it. Scrumpling being the technical term. I'm going to split this into two as you're putting it down. This is going to give you added texture and lights and darks just by the way you're laying down the fibre, which is super fun. There we go, we have forest. Now we're going to put in a lot more detail. I can even see I've got little empty spots. Not too worried just now, I just want to get the colours in. So now we're going to pop into this front bit, the sort of pasture area. Ooh, so much fireworks. And am I going for green base? Yeah, I'm going to go for a green base. There will be some browns popping in on top, but for just now I'm going for a green, the lighter of the two greens. The dark green we're only going to use for the forest and the occasional shadow. There we go. Popping that in. So, a couple of things that I haven't said yet that I should always say is every so often, so in about 2 minutes, it's a really good idea to pull this off the mat and move it around. So I'm going to pull off what we've done, and you can see all the little stab marks where it's just felting through to the back, and that's what's going to keep your picture tip top and staying in place. And at this point, this words have escaped me, pre-felt, is quite flexible still. The more you felt it, the less flexible, the more it'll felt together and become denser. But just now you've got a little bit of wiggle, you can move it about and change it. And also when we're filling in the areas, it's a good idea to go over the edges that I've drawn, because when we're going to put it in the frame, you want to have a little bit of wiggle as to where you're going to frame it. So if you want more hill or more sky, you've got that freedom. You also don't have to put it in this frame if you don't want to. I just suggest it. You can get it framed up, you can have it whatever. It is your piece of art to enjoy as you wish. Okay, so this wonderful mess of a creation we currently have in front of us needs a little bit of work and a little bit of finessing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it all with my 3 needles and just felt everything in a little bit better so it's not quite so fluffy. Oh, my 3 needles are not playing ball today. There we go. And then I'm going to start putting in colours on top, and in fact we should probably at this stage pop in the waterfall. And I'm going to put a little bit more, before I pop in the waterfall, I'm going to pop in a little bit more of that on top. So I'm taking the slivers again, and this time again, so I'm looking at how tiny we're using. I'm popping that on top of the brown, and that just gives the effect of tiny hillocks and shadows and rocks up there. And the more we add colours on top of each other, the more little bits will pop. At the moment I have this sort of dark line at the edge of the hill, but I'm gonna probably get rid of that. Bring the light brown up. There we go. Okay, so let's block in where the water, ooh, I'm hitting my light. Block in where, I chose the wrong time to do this. Block in where the water is going to be. So this fluff is wonderful, and we don't want to felt it in too much because I love all the little noils and bits in there. So again, I'm going to pull just a tiny amount, and from where I've got that V, is where I'm going to start the waterfall. I'm going to start it super small. And it can wiggle a little bit if you like. You can wiggle it however you like. And we're using just pure white for this, because right now with the rain that we've had, all the little gullies on going down the hill are just filled up with complete white water that is just going everywhere. You can wiggle it. There we go. I've got a nice wee wiggle in there. I like that wiggle. It's different from the other wiggle, but I'm totally fine with that. Oh, am I? No. I want more of a drop at the start. I'm going to give it the same drop and then give it a wiggle, because that gives the height. If it goes straight down, I imagine the hill is a lot steeper, because this bit of hill is practically straight up. It's not like a rolling gentle hill. This is a you're going vertical hill. Give it a little bit of a wiggle. I know I'm wiggling the other way this time, which I don't want to do, because that'll interfere with the chimney. There we go. But I'm going to let this disappear behind. I'm literally pulling up and smooshing it behind the trees, and the trees are going to go on top. And then it's going to pop out. So I'm letting the trees take a little V there as well, to give it the impression that the water is moving sort of around and through the trees on a wiggly way, and then have it coming out again and going off to the side. Now this isn't a fixed water. I've just really lightly felted it in. We may move it, it may stay there. I think I'm going to thin up this a little bit, make it go that way. There we go. Perfect. It'll get wiggled, but don't worry. Now I'm going to put in, we're leaving the house till quite close to the end, because we want to get all this done beforehand. So let's work a little bit more on the hills and the forest. Now with the forest, I'm going to remake that line that I made before. That thin, I'm taking the black and just essentially drawing a line, thin line, under where the bottom of the trees would meet the pasture land, because that's where you'll find shadows, you'll find the bottoms of the trees. That'll give it a sense of depth. Don't make it too strong a line, but make sure that there's a line there. There we go. And if you want, you can pop in tiny touches of the lighter green into the trees as well, to give it a little bit more depth. Just on both sides. So that's where like little bits of the tiny amount of sunlight that we have just now would be hitting the top of the trees. Perfect. Okay, and now this bottom area I've been ignoring. I want to put some browns in there, so I'm going to steal this light brown, and again, super thin layer, sort of fan it out a wee bit and pop it on top of there, just giving you can see how it doesn't show up on camera as much as it does in real life, but it's just that little bit of brown that when you felt it in quite well later on will give just depth and realism to your picture. And now I want to work, no, I'll put a little bit of the chocolate brown in as well. It's basically mousses of brown is what we're making at the moment. Oh, I'm going off. There we go. Now, so that's sort of covered again, one whole area, putting in a little bit more detail, and I'm going to go back to the top again and start adding more detail again. So into the sky, I want to put a little hint of clouds. So again, this Slivers is so perfect for clouds. It makes me so happy. These may not even show, depending on how you frame your picture, but the fact that they're there. So again, the tiniest amount of the clouds, just spread out. So you can see like even less than that amount. You can't even see it. It's like wisps in the sky. And that just gives it a little bit of movement. Not too much, because the smoke coming out of the chimney we're going to do is quite straight up, so it's quite a calm day. Right, so back to the hill. Now we've plonked on this water going down. Now in reality, the water is in gullies that have been worn away by the streams over years and years, so they are slightly shadowed. We don't want to make it too obvious a shadow, but we're going to take the Jacobs, my mind is working, and kind of outline, kind of not outline. We're going to take it and I'm going to go right into the edge and put an edge there, but I'm going to leave bits going out left as well. So I'm just going to do small sections, putting this brown in, but leaving little taily bits going out. So I'm taking the tiniest amount, putting it in a wee section, but then, so I've stabbed in one stab there, and it's got its two ends, and I'm going to let them kind of wiggle about and not be too rigid and fixed. So there can be little bits of shadow, little bits of highlight at the edge as well. That's no problem at all. One thing that I forgot to say right at the very start, which just came back to me, is you don't have to listen to me if you don't want to. I ramble nonsense. Please feel free to put me on mute, put me on fast forward, put me on slow down. I'm not offended if you mute me. And I must make an apology for last month, where I accused my mother of insulting me when somebody from the family account said how wonderful it was that they could mute the children, i.e. me, and it was my father that said that, not my mother. So apologies, Mum and Dad, this is the only way you're going to get me to shut up. So just working down that edge, putting in the shadows and letting them go across, letting them be on the hillside, because we want those little bits on the hillside as well. We're going to put in a wee bit more soon anyway, because there is just now the light is just causing light. Thank you, Jennifer. But feel free to. I don't know if I have any random shop chat this week. This month. Apart from Bonfires Night, which is always exciting. There you go. Oh, and if you ever feel it's looking a bit dimpledy, remember and pull it up. Give it a wee tug, give it a smooth down, and you'll notice that they just pop away. And that always does make such a difference. So, I'm going to pop in some more browns. And it might seem like I'm putting in a lot more browns just now, but I'm going to go over them again. I know, layering. I'm going to go over them again with the light as well, the lighter browns. But I feel like it needs a little bit of darkness and shadow. Ooh, now, good point, well made. We require scissors tonight. I hope we don't necessarily have to. If you don't have scissors, there's other ways that you can do it. But what we're gonna do a nice cheat, and if you have scissors handy, brilliant. I recommend them for something we're gonna do with the house. There you go. I'm putting a little bit more green not green, of the Jacob's black in the trees again. Something I'm gonna put some more brown. This bit I've completely neglected. It needs brown behind it there. There we go, that brown. Just separating the green that was on the hills from the green that's there has made a big difference. I'm going to pull that green out there, in fact, save myself some work. Because again, at this stage, we're still quite we're not very fixed in. Well, I should probably say that tonight we're going to get most of this done, but once we've got to a certain stage, I recommend taking a break and coming back the next day, a couple of days later, because you'll get to a stage where your eyes are just exhausted from looking at it and you can't tell if you're happy with it or not. It's also a really good idea every so often to stand back and look at it from a different angle, see if you like it, hold it upside down, take a photograph of it and look at the photograph. Anything to just sort of see it with fresh eyes is really useful. So at the moment I'm looking at it in the monitor screen, which gives me a fresh perspective, and then comparing it to the one that's next to me. I'm going to pop some more of the lighter browns there, just a tiny amount. I haven't really got any local knowledge about Glencoe that I can impart. It's beautiful, absolutely stunning. I love driving through it. Always worth a drive. There's, oh, the visitor centre. They're rebuilding a mud brick house down there at the moment, which I'm very excited to go and see. Okay. I'm looking quite squinty, but that's fine. Ooh. Something different, but I can't tell what it is yet. We'll figure it out. I think it's the lack of house at the moment, to be honest. But, so let's go over it all. So this will make a big difference as well. So just going over the whole areas, giving them a good felting in, is like blending all your colours together. And stopping them looking quite so separated. You might lose colours by doing this, so we can either pop them in or just let them be lost. You might find colours. Ah, yes, that's what I needed. Just a good, and you can see that the edge of my waterfall has moved away in the felting process, so that little dark line. So I'm going to aim it. No, I'm not. It's too far away. I'm going to pull it, pull it and re-stab it so it's closer, which is something I love being able to do. It's just the malleability, she says with a squeak. It is stunning at this time of year. The waterfalls look amazing as well. They're just popping up everywhere. Where there wasn't waterfalls all summer, there's now just these white torrents running down the hillside. Which is why any swimming that I do just now is in the sea, because the rivers are not safe. I'm going to pop in a little bit more of this light brown. Ooh, that's what I'd forgotten. I've been so carefully going down the edges of that. I've forgotten the edge of this bit, and it's just kind of standing on top of the water, looking on top of the grass, looking a bit odd. So I'm going to take the darker of the greens that we were reserving for forest and shadows, and I'm going to do two little edges on either side, because it tends to be nearer to the water source will be where the more vibrant greens are, where there's more vegetation, because they're right next to the water. So I'll give it that little bit of depth. If you want, you can even, did I do it on the other one? I didn't. You can try a little bit of the black, but I wouldn't, I'd hesitate. I like that. There we go. That makes me a lot happier now. That's what was missing there. Although to be fair, when I put the frame on this, it's probably going to cut all of that out. If it wasn't there, I would know. I want this to go a bit more sideways. There we go. That's better. Ooh, more fireworks. It's a shame I've got the curtain shut, so I can't see them. Okay, should we be brave? Shall we start popping a house in? Because I still want to fiddle around with it for a wee while. We're only about halfway there. But let's be brave and get a house in. Now, if you've got your scissors, she says as she wonders where she's put her scissors. We're going to, so ideally we want a square house, which you can do with this white and just kind of folding it over on itself and making a little square house and then smooshing it down and making it square. Or we can be, I don't know if it's cheats or if it's genius. I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to pull this up. And the edges are really nice and square on this. And this is just felt too. So I'm going to cut a tiny rectangle as big as I want my house to be. So I know we like measurements. And I don't like doing official measurements. So about from my knuckle to the end of my thumb, up, and then about half a thumb's width. So it's very much more, so it's about twice the length it is high. These are low buildings with bigger roofs for various reasons, for keeping warm, for the expensive materials, yada yada. So they're low and slightly long. And we're going to plonk. Look at it does look a bit odd just now because it's just floating on top, but I'm going to place him. I think I want him quite close to the river and just slightly below the tree line. So his roof's going to be in the tree line. And I'm really carefully just now going to just stab in, because you might want to move placement, so I wouldn't do too much just now. Just gently stab that in. Ta-da! We have a house. Almost. He needs a roof. So I'm taking the grey. You should have a tiny amount of the grey. If you have felted before, I have a large section of felting. If you have a red and you want to have a red roof, or if you want to have a black roof, you can do whatever colour roof you like. But I really like the grey roofs. Because down there they would have Ballachulish slate, possibly, because it's famous. That's just next to Ballachulish. They've got their lovely grey slate down there. So I'm going to take this and I've folded it in half. So I've taken a tiny bit, folded it in half, and that's going to be one edge. And you can go a little bit over the edge of your house if you want to. I'm just going to felt down all the way along. So at the moment it's quite the windswept look. And then I'm going to take this edge and fold it back on itself. If you've got your scissors handy and you want to chop it, you could do it, but I just like folding. And you can neaten up your edges there. Now, it does look a bit like it's standing out from the environment, so we're going to do some nice, interesting things to blend it in. So with the black, Jacobs, tiniest, when I say tiny, and I mean Can you even see how little I have? I'm going to form that into a tiny, kind of rub it between my fingers, into a tiny wisp, and lay that between where the house meets the roof. And that just gives a little bit of shadow, makes the roof stand up. You can also, if you want, grab a tiny bit of white, pop a tiny bit of white nearer the top of the roof, giving it a little highlight as well. And now we're going to do the windows and doors. So we're going to take the Jacob's Black, and this is the hardest part of the whole thing, is getting that door and the windows in the right place and the right size. So grab what you think is the tiniest amount and then half it, and that's probably the size that your window's going to be. So we're going to be brave and do 2 windows and a door. Even that's too big. I'm going to half that again. This is where I end up with tiny piles of tiny black tops everywhere. Okay, so that's the tiniest little speck on the left hand side. And we're going to do the same on the right hand side. Oh, he looks so cute already. Look at him. Again, tiny amounts. Half what you think is tiny already. And then maybe even half it again. And that'll be how small it needs to be. And if you've done it so small that when you poke it in, it goes right the way through, that's probably the right size. So we've got 2 little squinty eyes to the house. And now it's time for his, I'm giving this house personality, putting in a door, not a nose, a door. I also keep realizing that my foam is squinty. So again, what you think you need, half it, and then half it again. And then pop in, so the door will go sort of from the top of the windows down. I've not felted them in very much just now, because I haven't felted in the back, and I will do that all. Yeah, look at it! It's so cute. But we'll go over that a bit more later. But now we've got the basic house shape, so we've got 2 dots and a line. And it might look a bit wonky, but I think wonky is perfect, so I'm totally fine with that. But now the house is still kind of sitting, it's not really in the landscape, it's just sitting on top of it, so we need to put in some shadows. So we're going to take the darker green that we've used for the trees and for the edges there, grab just a tiny amount of that and pop a wee line. So depending, if you imagine your sun is coming from, say, could be coming from either angle, might be coming from, I'm going to come from this angle just now. So pop that darker green just along the base, and then you can make it kind of, it's allowed to go a little bit past it, so you see how the shadow is sort of filling up that space there. So that's giving it some height in the landscape and giving the direction to the sun. That's really nice with the lighter green behind it, and that just makes it sit. It's present in the landscape, it's not just sitting on top of it. That tiny, like, I don't know, all you guys out here just live, when we did the flock, just putting that green line underneath all of the sheep just sits them in the landscape, and that's the same for this. Just that little bit there just pops it and says, I'm here. Okay. Oh, I'm getting really excited about this. This is coming out nicely now that we've got the house in. So, I'm not going to put the smoke in for the chimney yet, because that's the very last thing that I'm going to do. I want to play with this a little bit more and just felt it in, and I might do a little bit more to this green And then I'm pretty happy. We're what, 45 minutes in? Pretty good going. And I cannot wait to see your guys' ones. I'm going to go over it all, give it a good felting in, and then decide what bits need what. But I love this chocolate brown on these hills because they're just that colour just now. When I walk into work every morning, I'm looking across the loch at these, not these hills, but at similar hills. And they're just stunning just now. Orange, I think, is becoming one of my favourite colours. It's never going to replace green and purple, but it's up there. Okay. Oh, I haven't done this sky much. Pop in some more sky. So hopefully the scary mess that we had for a wee while is now starting to resolve into some kind of picture. So you can see that it's not, because of the lighting in here, it's not coming up quite on camera as it is in real life. Because I think in real life, maybe it's just me, your eyes kind of blend it more. And those little dimplies that are showing up are just little bits of the hillside. Because the hills are not super smooth up here, there are bits everywhere. I'm going to put some more. Just going to play with the browns. This is a bit of both browns that I'm popping in. Now we're putting, just now, absolutely tiny amounts that, I mean, sometimes will just completely disappear. But it's the layering that blends it all. I keep saying layering. Tiny amounts and layering. That's the secret to felting. Too much? It's the balance between too much and too little. No, I think I'm good with that. I want to, this green top there needs a bit of work. I'm going to put some more of the Jacob's Black in there. You can even do it now, as you felt in the house, it'll go through stages of looking really wonky and then looking normal again. That's why I tend to leave it minimally felted on the actual house. I love how big his roof is looking. It looks really cute to me. You can do any size of roof that makes you happy. So my roof is roughly the same thickness, if a little bit more, and just a little bit longer than the house. And now remember, the angle that you're looking at is not the angle you're going to be viewing it from. So remember and pick it up and have a look at it every so often. In fact, fairly regular. I've not been doing it because I can see on the monitor what it looks like from looking at it sort of straightish on. But it's a really good idea. To step away. Go and get a cup of tea. Pet the cat. Not that I have a shop cat. There we go. That's pulled that down nicely there. I'm even tempted to put just the tiniest line of the black just along the edge of that water. How do we feel about that? Let's stab it in a little bit more and see if it... Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. Not too much, like minimal. I'm also going to put that green is starting to show through the water. Now your river can look however you want it to be. I'm also going to take a tiny bit. This is where I'm kind of talking to myself and rambling as I'm putting in little bits. The fettling process, I think, is probably the technical term. Just making sure there's no hard lines unless I really want them to be there. Sort of blending in all the things. I feel like you need, that's what you need. I'm taking the lighter of the browns and just on the top of the hill, adding in some more highlights. There we go. But it's still got that lovely depth of dark brown beneath it that we put in at the start. So how are we all getting on? Anybody got any? Nope, bad idea. Bad idea. Anybody got any reports? Right. Got roughly 10 minutes left. I try and keep these to an hour. And then I need to go home and get dinner. Right, I'm going to try this in the frame. No, I'm going to put in the last, the most important. The thing that's going to take this from sort of oh, Morgan, don't say that about your house. I'm sure your house is beautiful. Make it smaller? Make it small, and you can leave out the features if you want to. And you can just have it as a little white house with a grey roof, and you could do a red door, you could do a grey door. Also, I'm pretty sure it's not. I've seen your stuff. And once we get this chimney in, we're going to, I'm going to leave the, not going to put in a chimney stack, but I'm going to take the white slivers and super fine pulling them out. So I'm going from the center. If you want to, you can do too dangerous. It's not dangerous. So coming from the center of the chimney, I'm not is mine squinty? I think mine might be squinty as well. I'm just going to let the smoke go straight up out the chimney and into the sky. It's just the tiniest amount. And if it goes straight up, that's like a super still, calm day. If you want, you can make it go sideways. So up and then sort of sideways. And that gives it a bit more wind, like it's gusting in winds. You've got options. You can have it going up and then you can have it wiggling around. Like that. So it's like there's been a tiny gust of wind. I actually quite like it like that. Yeah. And if you're not happy with your house, I'm not specifically talking to you, Morgan. In the one I did this morning, which is this one, I had this house, I think it took me 3 goes, and I just kept taking it off and trying again. That's why we didn't felt it on really well. This house, the one I did this morning, is also smaller than the one just now. So you can do a smaller house, you can do a bigger house. I don't think there's any wrong house, because this is the house of your imagination. And felting it more will also make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Oh, so at some points when you do yeah, the architect was inebriated when he built the house. There we go. And you can put in as many, let's put another wiggle in. There we go. That's nice, I like that. Perfect. Okay. So it might look a bit, still at this stage, will look a little bit wonky. What I'm going to say is all the major colours are in there. You know what areas need what colours. I think I want the brown there. So it would be, now would be a good time to sort of stop for the evening, give your eyes and your hand a break, and come back in a day or two and spend maybe another half hour just putting in tiny details, changing up colours a little bit. You've got the major, you've got all the shadows, you've got the lights and the darks. You can put in anything, and then at the end give it a good, so the last 10 minutes of that time, just go over it all until you can tell it's really well felted in. It's not going anywhere. All the colours are nice. I'm going to do that for just 2 minutes, and I'm going to put it in the frame, and we're going to have a look at it. You see sometimes, so here I'm stabbing at an angle because I want to keep those colours pushed into there. So you can do that, just don't, remember what I said, and don't bend the needle, that's when they break. So I am trying to leave the white areas not too well felted in because I want them to have some volume. Right, so before we finish, I'm going to try it in the frame and see if there's anything that needs changed, if there's anything I want to do differently. So to pop it in the frame, I recommend you move the felt away, pop the, oh, so you've got your rings, and you just unscrew this side to make it nice and big, and you can take it off, screw it right the way so that the internal bit is right at the edge, as big as you can get it. If you go too much, you can just screw it back in again. If it pops open, pop it in and screw it in. Now take your felt and feel where it is in relation to the frame. Now you can, at this stage, and all stages, you can choose where you want to line it up, so you can have a quick. I'm actually pretty happy. Do I want it to be a little bit further down? More sky? Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with it there. So I'm going to press that down over the edge there. Now when you do it for the final time, you'll need to make sure that the one horizontal line we have there, which is the forest one, is horizontal to where you're going to hang it. And then just pop it in a wee bit and have a look at your creation. So I can see that I've missed I've got a wee gap there that I'm going to fix, and I'm going to pop in some more colour into there. You can see there's a wee gap there, because when you put it in the frame it stretches it ever so slightly. But overall, for an hour of stabbing, I'm pretty happy with the layout. I like the colours, I think it works really well. I'm pretty happy. So once you've come back in a day or two and you've fettled it for another half hour or so and you're ready to hang it, all you have to do is pop it into the frame and then just chop off, or sorry, pop it into the frame, tighten this bit up really tight so it's as tight as it can go, and then just chop off this back bit, and then you'll have something that looks like that, which I'm pretty happy with. I might wiggle my river a little bit differently, but I'm pretty happy with that. Thank you, Jennifer. So what's it? We've done an hour. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. Is there anything I've forgotten to tell you? Have I rambled enough? Do I need to go home? Probably. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Oh, I'll do while I'm rambling, my thank yous. I'll make a pretty final thing with all the colours at the side. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been wonderful as ever. I am super proud of all of you, and I love seeing all of your finished ones in the Facebook group. The link is in the description. If you could do the usual usual. What platform am I on? YouTube stuff, and like, comment, subscribe, do all of the things that the algorithm likes. I will keep making these. We'll keep being squishy. And we've done Glencoe. Happy days, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm going to run away. If you have any questions, pop them in the YouTube. Not the YouTube. This is YouTube. Pop them in the Facebook. And enjoy Bonfire Night. Thank you, my squishies.